Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of CTR TV. This particular episode is an episode with a difference. Instead of the usual sit-down interview with our guest, I'm going to play for you some of the talk he gave to the parish CWL. Deacon Raffaele Salvino is a newly ordained deacon for the Archdiocese of Vancouver, and he was the guest preacher at our Mass in time of pandemic. We've been doing that throughout the pandemic with a special opportunity to hear from especially younger priests, and he gave a wonderful homily. But afterwards, he told us a lot about himself, far more than I would ever be able to extract in an interview. So I think that you will enjoy very much hearing his story, the story of a journey of a local lad towards the altar of Jesus Christ. At the same time, I encourage all of you to listen to his entire presentation, which is available on our YouTube channel. So with real thanks to Deacon Raffaele Salvino, I am going to now turn it over to him, to the taped version of his fine presentation.
So good evening, everyone. Monsignor Smith, Father Jeff, CWL, President Jen, thank you very much for this opportunity. It's one thing to be invited to a parish to speak, and it's quite another thing to be invited to a parish that has personally played a role in one's vocation, and that is exactly what has happened tonight. So thank you. My name is Deacon Raffaele Salvino, born and raised in East Vancouver in the Commercial Drive neighborhood, local yokel. And however, my high school years, I got involved with the Air Cadets. And I was told the best squadron was not the one here, I'm sorry, was the one over at Mahan Park by St. Thomas Aquinas. So of course I joined over there and got to know some St. Thomas of Aquinas students through my high school years, and basically ended up spending all my time that I wasn't in class in my Vancouver high school here on the North Shore. So self-appointed honorary citizen of this shore. One day, I got an invitation to go on a St. Thomas of Aquinas mission trip. We went to Mexico. This was about 10 years ago. And I had no business being there. I wasn't a St. Thomas of Aquinas student. And my brother went to that school, and he was too young for the trip, but they needed a medical chaperone, so they invited my dad, and he did a little bit of wheeling and dealing. And next thing I know, I'm in Mexico with a bunch of STA students. This is 2009, it's my final year of high school, just months before I'm set to graduate. And on this trip, I was captivated by the fact that here I was surrounded by Catholics my age who were eager to live their faith. And some of them were cool. And I didn't even know you could say the word cool and Catholic in the same sentence. And that's all it took to captivate me. And I knew there was a lot more to my faith that I had missed out on. And not only that, I was also captivated by a girl on the trip. So she went to STA, and we began dating right when we got back from the trip. And through her, I met some of my best friends who are here tonight, actually, and it's a real joy. This wasn't planned. Welcome. You're not part of the CWL, but it's great to have you. So I was on this trip, or I had just gotten back, and I was dating, and I had met these friends, and one night, instead of our usual date night, this girl I was dating, she asked that I come here for her youth group event. And quite frankly, I thought that was boring. Come on, like we had this nice date planned, and she wants to go and spend an evening with the church group. I mean, I thought I had lucked out on this mission trip meeting some cool Catholics. I didn't think it could happen again. But nevertheless, we had a bunch of fun. We had a lot of fun, and I met a bunch of people that night, and one of them I met was one of the youth group leaders. His name was Ben Turland. He was a parishioner here many years ago, and I didn't think anything of it. I graduated high school. My girlfriend and I at the time went our separate ways on amicable terms, remained friends, and thus began a new chapter of life. It's the first day of university. I am single. I am no longer, there's no one really there that I know from high school. And on the first day of UBC, what they do is they bring out every single club in full force to recruit all these new students. I don't know how many dozens of thousands of people are on campus that first day, but here they are recruiting. And there's these exciting clubs, and they're giving out free stuff, and hey, just sign your name here and your email, and you're in the cool club, you can join us, and there's all this stuff going on. And then in the corner, barely noticeable, is this one little booth. They don't have much set up. They're very joyful, but they're not giving away any cool free swag or anything, so I didn't notice them. Until one of these people from this booth started calling my name. Raffaele, Raffaele. This is strange. Who is that? I turn around, and it's Ben Turland, who somehow, and I would say miraculously, remembered my name from 6 or 8 months before, whenever we had met. We hadn't seen each other since, no contact. But he remembered my name, and he called me over. He said, I'm starting a Bible study, a faith study, and I want you to be a part of it. And my first instinct, of course, was, oh no, this is the first day of university. I'm already roped into the Bible study crowd. We're not off to a good start, ladies and gentlemen. But nevertheless, I went to this Bible study. And through that, in that Bible study were some of the men that I had met here at that youth group. And I took that as a divine sign and continued that. It continued to go, but admittedly, this is where I'd like to end the story actually and go, and now, dear ladies, I signed up for that Bible study. I became a very holy man, and I went to seminary, and they slapped a collar on me, and I'm just on the highway up to heaven here, the straight line up there. Unfortunately, no. Although I was a part of a Bible study, and although I would have told you right then and there that it was there that I had meaningful friendships and community, I felt a very strong pull to live a very kind of different life. And for many years, and I would imagine we share this in common, there was a real internal struggle. You can almost symbolize it by what happened on the weekends versus what happened during the week. Study hard, play hard. And it was really leading me, it was really forcing me to kind of become two different people. The Sunday morning, good Catholic kid who then studied hard all week, and then the partier on the weekends. And through this all, there was a growing sadness within me. Because at the back of my mind, and this is the value of our Catholic education, I had gone to Catholic school. I was raised in a loving home, and at the back of my mind kept rattling that assertion that we were made for heavenly desires. That the joy that I'm looking for in life is actually satisfied by God and God alone. And I didn't quite believe it. And I didn't quite know it. But I was frustrated enough to know that I just wanted to see if it was true. And so at a very kind of dark existential moment, I was invited to go on a retreat. Again, with this Bible study crowd. And it was on this retreat, during adoration, when I was alone in a chapel with Christ, that I finally felt free to express to him my frustrations. And I told him, Lord, I thought you were real. Where is everything you've promised me? And in a sudden moment, I heard Christ say, I love you. And this absolutely stunned me because I wasn't praying for it. I wasn't looking for it. I didn't even know this was possible. But during adoration, that it's a sense, it's too deep for words, but it was an absolute conviction that Christ was real. And from there, slowly, from that day forth, I can honestly say I knew Christ was real, but I also started to see that we can't live our faith on our own. This is the value of something like CWL, a community where we can grow, where we are at different stages in our faith journey, but we have the support to grow. I found that in my faith study group. Men who were my age and yet I really looked up to, who I could lean on. I met Monsignor Smith through them. A lot of people really kind of pitched in through God's providence to slowly bring me back to Christ. And again, there was that difficulty. A difficulty of really making the choice to live for Christ. But one thing kind of agonized me, and it was I was always looking for the next greatest thing. Because now that I had accepted that Christ loved me and I wanted to live for him, I was asking him, okay, Lord, what's next? What's next? What's next? And I really began to shape my whole life around this. When I graduate, then I'll be happy. Then I can get this holiness thing rolling. But then I graduated, and there was no big epiphany. And again, I was hitting now my second crisis of when, where is that point where I can say I've made it? And really, there never was a point where I really knew what God was calling me or calling us to in the present moment. Again, alluding to the homily from earlier, I thought God was everywhere but now. Maybe I missed him in the past. I heard his voice and I want to follow him, but did I miss something? Did I take the wrong step? And even when I heard him invite me to seminary, I went through seminary most of the time thinking, if I can make it through this year, then things will clear up. And that logic came to a frightening head last year. When you reach the end of seminary and your graduation's on the horizon, you get to a very definitive fork in the road. Graduating seminary does not guarantee ordination. It's just like a relationship. If I've been dating a girl for a long time, at a certain point, she's going to wonder, and I have to ask myself, are we going to get married? You don't just fall into a marriage. And it's very much the same with the priestly vocation. And the monks that I studied under pointed this out to me. They said, I was so terrified of what was coming next. And one of the monks just pulled me aside and said, don't go through. Don't continue. And it was the most freeing words I ever heard. I can honestly say that there was just a weight lifted off my shoulder of do not continue. Because I knew I wasn't ready. And this was right at a time, too, when my classmate, Deacon Richard, priest-elect Richard Conlon, was just being ordained. And I remember attending his ordination and God really saying to me, you made the right choice to wait. And in this last year, one thing that has become very clear to me, very, very clear to me, and which I wish to share with you tonight, is that God is not found in an abstract past or just over the next hill in the future. He speaks to us right in the now. God speaks to you and I right now. At seminary, at this difficult time, I came across a book. It's a spiritual classic by a French author called Abandonment to Divine Providence. And its premise is very simple. God created us to be saints. There's no alternative. If God created us to be saints, He is going to provide us the means for holiness. And the only time we can choose to act holy is in the right now. Therefore, our holiness is in the now. So here I was with this book. God is speaking to me, telling me God is speaking to me right now. And then I had a conversation with a priest as well, and he just said, he echoed these words. And to him, I spoke to him after, and he just thought it was an ordinary conversation. But to him, he said, Raffaele, do you believe that God speaks to us in ordinary ways? Yes. Do you believe he can speak to you through your monk professors? Yes. Then maybe you have all the information you need. And that was it. And so here I am with this discovery that holiness is now. Holiness is found in the now. And again, that the words from that priest echoing that. Maybe you just have all the information you need. And when I put those two together in prayer, I realized with a tremendous amount of peace that indeed Christ had given me what I needed. And not only that, as I sat in the chapel on this, it was a day in January, I remember it very clearly. I kind of reviewed my life and I realized there was no grand moment where the clouds parted and a beam of sun shone upon me and God's voice thundered and I responded. No. God was only ever speaking to me in the small and in the ordinary and in the daily tasks. And so with incredible peace and freedom, I was able to respond wholeheartedly to Christ's invitation. And now, 9 months later, 11 months later, I didn't do well in math. It's been such a joy. And this is also not where the story ends. This is not where the story ends with, well, great, we had this holy deacon come and he just kind of shared his story and now he's off. No. I really wish to share with you what has transformed and is transforming my life. This awareness that holiness is now. I really wish to share with you because this is something available to us all. Because when we look at our lives, we will see it's made up of an endless series of small, ordinary tasks and responsibilities. The vast majority of our life is lived out in these small and ordinary duties. And it is there, hidden in the mundane and the boring and the routine that Christ is calling us. And you could even say the means for our holiness, everything you and I need to be saints is found in the routine, in the ordinary, in the boring, no matter our state in life. You can be holy by washing dishes, by doing the groceries, maybe answering a phone call you'd rather not. I don't know, you could fill it in. We all have those things that are either ordinary or perhaps a little annoying. And no less in COVID. If God, when he created us, foresaw COVID, he has also given us the means for our holiness in it. Something as simple as the annoyance of sanitizing 600 times a day or putting on a mask, as small as that inconvenience can be, might just be the pearl of great price that holds the means of our holiness. And so, dear ladies of CWL and all in attendance, if we wish to be holy and we wish to enter heaven and we wish to be saints, we need not look further than right now in the ordinary moment we are given.